Good afternoon, boys and girls. I have a new story for you today. Today's story is The Mitten. This is written and illustrated by Jan Brett and based on a famous folktale. The Mitten, a Ukrainian folktale adapted and illustrated by Jan Brett. For Sylvia, Kyle, Ruth, Ann Johnson, Rebecca Lynn, and Tad Beagley. You can see she has pictures on each side of this book. All right, here's the first page. Once there was a boy named Nicky who wanted his new mittens made from wool white as snow. Here on the sides you can see the grandma getting the wool ready for the mittens. At first, his grandmother, Baba, did not want to knit white mittens. If you drop one in the snow, she warned, you'll never find it. But Nicky wanted snow white mittens, and finally, Baba made them. There you can see Nicky's Baba, that's his grandmother, and there's Nicky. After she finished, she said, "When you come home, first I will look to see if you are safe and sound, but then I will look to see if you still have your snow white mittens." So off Nicky went. And it wasn't long until one of his new mittens dropped in the snow and was left behind. I can see it right there in the picture. There's the mitten that he dropped. A mole. Oh, on the page before it, it says what animal's coming next. So here you can see the mole. A mole, tired from tunneling along, discovered the mitten and burrowed inside. It was cozy and warm and just the right size, so he decided to stay. I don't know if you can see that. A mole is an animal kind of like a gopher that we have in the fields. And here you can see what the next animal is going to be. A snowshoe rabbit came hopping by. He stopped for a moment to admire his winter coat. It was then that he saw the mitten, and he wriggled in, feet first. The mole didn't think there was enough room for both of them, but when he saw the rabbit's big kickers, he moved over. And there you can see them both in the mitten. What animal do you think that is? Let's find out. Next, a hedgehog came snuffling along. Having spent the day looking under wet leaves for things to eat, he decided to move into the mitten and warm himself. The mole and the rabbit were bumped and jostled. Not being ones to argue with someone covered with prickles, they made room. There you can see them making room. I wonder what animal's coming next. Oh, look there. Can you see that? As soon as the hedgehog disappeared into the mitten, a big owl, attracted by the commotion, swooped down. When he decided to move in also, the mole, the rabbit, and the hedgehog grumbled. But when they saw the owl's glinty talons, they quickly let him in. There's the next animal. Can you see that? Let's find out what that is. Up through the snow appeared a badger. There's the picture of the badger. He eyed the mitten and began to climb in. The mole, the rabbit, the hedgehog, and the owl were not pleased. There was no room left, but when they saw his diggers, they gave him the thumb. So there they all are. He's going to get in the thumb. Oh, look. Fox is coming next. It started snowing, but the animals were snug in the mitten. A waft of warm steam rose in the air, and a fox trotting by stopped to investigate. Just the sight of the cozy mitten made him feel drowsy. The fox poked his muzzle in. When the mole, the rabbit, the hedgehog, the owl, and the badger saw his shiny teeth, they gave him lots of room. Oh, look what's coming next. A great bear lumbered by. He spied the mitten all plumped up. Not being one to be left out in the cold, he began to nose his way in. The animals were packed in as tightly as could be, but what animal would argue with a bear? The mitten swelled and stretched. It was pulled and bulged to many times its size, but Baba's good knitting held fast. Look and see what's coming next. That's much smaller than a bear. Along came a meadow mouse, no bigger than an acorn. She wriggled into the one space left and made herself comfortable on top of the great bear's nose. Can you see that mouse on the top of the bear's nose? The bear, tickled by the mouse's whiskers, gave an enormous sneeze. Achoo! The force of the sneeze shot the mitten up in the sky and scattered the animals in all directions. On his way home, Nicky saw a white shape in the distance. It was the lost mitten silhouetted against the blue sky. There it is, flying from the bear's sneeze. As he ran to catch his snow-white mitten, he saw Baba's face in the window. First, she looked to see if he was safe and sound, and then she saw that he still had his new mittens. And there's Baba. Look at the size of those mittens. See the great big one and the little one? I bet she's wondering how they got to be two different sizes. The end. Thank you for listening to the story.